Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. It is good to see you. Good to see so many of you. Welcome at home. Take a moment, please. Usually, I have you turn to the person next to you or behind you and wish them a Shabbat Shalom. But this evening, I'm going to invite you, for those who are able, to stand or to sit up a little bit taller and wave. Come into the middle of the aisle and wave to everybody at home and wish them a Shabbat Shalom. We hope at home that you can see the hundreds of people in the sanctuary wishing you a Shabbat Shalom. We're glad and thankful that you are with us this evening. And thankful for those who are joining us for the first time, and for those who are home from out of town. We're very pleased to have you home, and excited to celebrate Shabbat and an upcoming B'nai Mitzvah tomorrow. More to come on that soon. Mordechai Kaplan wrote, "An artist cannot be continually wielding his brush. He must stop at times in his painting to freshen his vision of the object, the meaning of which he wishes to express on his canvas. Living is also an art. We dare not become absorbed in its technical processes and lose our consciousness of its general plan. Shabbat this evening represents those moments when we pause in our brushwork to renew our vision of this object. Having done so, we take ourselves to our painting with clarified vision and with renewed energy. That is how we aspire to move into and through Shabbat. So we hope that his piece on how living is an art will help frame your Shabbat as we move into this space. We'll turn now to the kindling of our Shabbat lights on pages 120 and 121. We are delighted to invite the parents of our upcoming B'nai Mitzvah, Mandy and Paul and Pamela and BJ, as we kindle the Shabbat lights.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us.
As the brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'havik ner shel Shabbat.
Blessed are you, O God, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvah, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Amen. Let's join in singing your blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
It is an honor and a pleasure to invite Alana and Braden to join us on the bima as we continue. We sanctify, we lift up, we make sacred, we acknowledge the holiness and the sanctity of this day with Kiddush. Page 123, and in body or in spirit, we'll invite you please to rise.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho ba'ahava uvratzon. Hinchilanu zikaron בשבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת אמן.
L'chaim.
L'chaim.
And kindly be seated. Page 124 is where we continue, and we'll continue praying responsively. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship. May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. On Shabbat, we seek not to acquire, but to share. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted. On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation. There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others. On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty and a better world our goal. So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace. Join us, please, as we continue on page 142 with the singing of Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mihi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Bohem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mihi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Barchuni L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mihi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tzedhem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mihi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Pages 144 and 145 as we continue. Entrances to holiness are everywhere. The possibility of ascent is all the time, even at unlikely times and through unlikely places. There is no place on earth without the presence.
יתגדל ויתקדש מרבה.
Amen.
בעמדי ברכירותי בהמליך מלכותי, וחייכנו ביומכון, ופיידך בית ישראל. בגלה, בגלה, ובזמן קריב יאמרו. יהי שמרה במבורך, לכל המלל מעלמיה. יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשה. דלה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה בנחמתה, דל מירן ועלמה, ויאמרו.
Let's join together as we rise in body or in spirit as we turn to our call to worship, the Baruch Hu.
Baruch hu Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, Le'olam
Together we'll pray, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher b'divaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chokhmah poteach she'arim, u'vitfuna mishaneh itim, u'machalif et hazmanim u'misader et hakochavim, b'mishmaroteim barakia kirtzono. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, u'ma'avir yom u'mevi layla, Umavdil ben yom uvein laila, Adonai tsevaot shemo. El chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. Everlasting love you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Vaed.
And please be seated as we continue together.
Invite Alana to chant
Alana,
the
yes,
Ve'ahavta.
Alana is going to join us. She's going to lead the Ve'ahavta. Page 154 as we continue.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Amen. We continue praying responsibly on page 157. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed.
Let us continue. גלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גוי ישראל. And join me in singing Hashkivenu. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, v'chamideinu shomreinu l'chaim. Once again. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, v'chamideinu shomreinu l'chaim. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us with wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, v'chamideinu shomreinu l'chaim. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us with hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, v'chamideinu shomreinu
Page 162, as we continue with the singing of Yismechu.
ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת. מקדשי שביעים שבת, כולם ישבעו ויתענגו מטובך שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת. והשביעים רצית בו וקידשת שבת. חמדת ימים אותו קראת שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת. זכר למעשה וראשית שבת. זכר למעשה וראשית שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת. ישמחו Shabbat Bekore Oneg Shabbat.
This is the delight of Shabbat of which we just were singing. Alana, we thank you. We thank you. And Braden is going to lead us now in the tefillah on page 164. And again, we'll invite you, please, in body or in spirit, to rise.
Adonai sifata tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avoteinu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Hasadim Tovim, Bekonei Ha'akol, Bezocher Chasdei Avot v'Imachot, Umevi Gibla Lifnei V'neihem, Leman Shemo Be'achava, Melech Ozer U'Mashiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Abraham Be'ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol atah, Rak Le'Yoshia, Morid Hatal, Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayeh Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Ba'al Geberot, Umido Melach, Melech Memit, Umechayeh, Umatmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah lehachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol.
Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yehalelucha sela, Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. And please be seated. Page 173 as we continue. Disturb us, Adonai, ruffle us from our complacency. Make us dissatisfied with the peace of ignorance, the quietude which arises from a shunning of the horror, the defeat, the bitterness and the poverty, physical and spiritual, of humans. Shock us, Adonai, deny to us the false Shabbat, which gives us the delusions of satisfaction amid a world of war and hatred. Wake us, O God, and shake us from the sweet and sad poignancies rendered by half-forgotten melodies and rubric prayers of yesteryears. Make us know that the border of the sanctuary is not the border of living, and the walls of your temples are not shelters from the winds of truth, justice, and reality. Disturb us, O God, and vex us. Let not your Shabbat be a day of torpor and slumber. Let it be a time to be stirred and spurred to action. Baruch atah Adonai, Mikadesh HaShabbat. Ratzeh Adonai Eloheinu be'amcha Yisrael, u'tefilatam be'ahava tikabel, u'tehi l'ratzon tamid avodat Yisrael amecha. Baruch atah Adonai, sha'odcha levadcha b'yirad na'avod. Together, God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha u'lecha na'eh lehodot.
Please join me in the singing of Lois Sagoy on page 179 in the middle. Nation shall not take up sword against nation. They shall never gain no war. We take a few moments of prayer, of meditation, of intentional silence. For many of us, we find ourselves here in the West, but our hearts are in the East. So many who I know have traveled in the last year to Israel and who find these times so very painful and so difficult on a multitude of levels. And so there are so many prayers that we can offer, so many actions that we can take. The extra candle that we light each Shabbat since October 7th, for those who cannot light one on their own. And we add these prayers as well. This prayer, which for those who have the little prayer booklet on our prayers for and songs for comfort for Israel, you'll find this on page 11. For those who do not, it is called Guardian of Israel, and I hope you will hear it as it is offered. Eternal One of the universe, Guardian of Israel, be with us in this time of darkness and trouble. Surround the families who have lost loved ones with your compassion. Give strength to the hostages and all who care about them at home and afar. Implant wisdom among the leaders of Israel and courage to all who defend her on the land, air, and sea. Remember your covenant with your people Israel and grant us peace, your most precious gift. And let us join together in saying,
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Let's also open our hearts to those within our own circles, in our community perhaps, sitting here among us at home, who are in need of healing and strength and wholeness and patience and kindness of care, as we turn to the words of the Mishaberach, which can be found on page 371, and we say, Mishaberach Avotenu v'imotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov, Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leahu yivarech et hacholim. May the one who blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, bless and give strength to those who are struggling. We're holding in our prayers this evening Shana Esther Bat Rochel, Laura Braun, Rini Feingold, Michael Shartok, Valerie Brownstein, Stephen Brieger, Carol Brieger, Linda Champion, Raymond Condon, Jen Palma, Lynn Scharfman, Yoel David Ben Mordechai, Kim Stanger Delisle, Alan Skirker, Denny Linsner, Jeffrey Wicks, Randall Hems, Teresa Elizabeth Schwal, Joyce Levenberg, Fran Schoenfeld, Abby Elkin, Jonathan Leonard, Denise Schildkraut, Zippy Kleinberg, Audrey Patron, Seymour Weinstein, Peter Lingenfelter, Jason Glure, Austin Torday, Lance Phillips, Joanne Gage, Sue Bondi, Esther Batchaya Rochel, and Deborah McDowell Hernandez. If there are names that you would add to this list, or names that are better spoken aloud by you, please, as I look your way, would you share that or those names aloud? And from home? Let us gather all of those whose names are mentioned together with those who have no one to say a prayer for them. As we say, may the Blessed Holy One be filled with compassion, for wherever possible, health to be restored and strength revived. May God swiftly send renewal of body and renewal of spirit as we join together in saying, Amen.
Amen. Please join me in singing of Mishaberach. Mishaberach Avotenu Mekor Habracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishaberach imotenu lekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema. the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
You have to have a pretty tough skin as a rabbi. Right in my line of sight, I see Rabbi Katz, and Rabbi Katz, who know well that you have to have a tough skin as a rabbi, and sometimes that has been difficult for me. I'm a pretty private person, and some are bothered by that. We could do a deep dive as to why I am private, but I'll lead with a story about my bubby Klara, my maternal grandmother from Poland, that might shed some light. She moved to Toronto as a young woman and was quickly married and worked as a seamstress for many years. She was smart, she was gnavish, she had what was called the devil in her eye in a good way. She was well-read, and she was the matriarch of our family. She could take you down with one look, and she could make you feel like you could do anything in the world with another. She was always hardworking and incredibly proud, especially of the life she built for herself and her family in Toronto. One time, she and my grandfather, my Zeta Jack, took a road trip to visit family in Detroit, which required crossing the American border and providing the guard with her ID. She handed over her driver's license, which was all that was needed at the time, and after the border guard asked her some preliminary questions, he started to peel back the heavy tape she had used to cover the year of her birth. Without a moment of hesitation, she slapped his hand and she said, "You will not. I am a lady, and it is rude to ask a lady her age." He sheepishly handed her back her license, and off they went. My bubby was all about people doing the right thing, and clearly she had and was a proponent for setting boundaries, even if they might land her in jail. So apparently my being a more private person is part of my DNA. This week we read from Parshat Emor. It is, like much of Leviticus, concerned with the rules and the laws, and as we read in the Women's Torah commentary, part of the Holiness Code, as we know, a group of laws authored, in all likelihood, by a very reform-minded set of priests. Scholars believe that these priests, perhaps influenced by the teachings of the prophet Isaiah, wrote the laws as a response to the laws created by the earlier priests in Leviticus, probably chapters 1 through 16. So why does that matter to us today, you might ask? The laws in the Holiness Code, like the laws in the rest of Leviticus, seek to mold the Israelites into a holy people and to safeguard the ritual purity that is necessary for contact with the divine. Leviticus depicts God as the creator of a harmonious, good, and orderly universe. To keep the world in proper balance, human beings must take care not to breach boundaries, whether these are boundaries of body or of time or space. A person's body, the sanctuary, and the community are all components of God's sacred world. And violations within any of these spheres have a negative impact on the whole. Boundaries of space separate the sacred from the non-sacred, as well as life from death. And Leviticus commands rituals, including sacrifices. We're going to hear about this tomorrow. Sacrifices to cancel or ameliorate the damage that results from boundary violations. This week's Parsha reminds us about the importance of setting boundaries and of living a life of holiness. Our post-October 7th world, an unending heartache for the hostages who remain in captivity, and for their families, and for the terrible damage and loss of life in Israel and Gaza, make discussions about boundaries and trying to focus on living a life of holiness abundantly challenging. The current political climate of divisiveness and acrimony make a discussion of boundaries seem remote and improbable, and holiness, well, seemingly absent. The rising tension and danger for Jewish and pro-Israel students on college campuses reflects a frightening breach of boundaries, and our list of that which is hanging in a precarious balance could go on. So what are we to do, and what kinds of tools does Judaism offer us as a way to navigate these tumultuous times? Musar, which I have been studying over these last months and years, is a Jewish practice of self-improvement, balance, and as Leonard Felsen describes, to focus on living a more conscientious life and heightening awareness of the world and one's responsibilities. In short, becoming more of a mensch. Musar aims to help us become more holy and more whole. Some of you are already familiar with this practice. How many are Musar practitioners or have learned some about Musar? Okay. So some of you are already familiar with this practice, while for others it is new. The founder and the dean of the Musar Institute, Alan Marinus, explains Musar by saying that because Jewish tradition set such high standards for human behavior, leading thinkers in previous generations took it upon themselves to help us identify the areas in which we personally excel and fall short, and guide us in making strengths out of our weaknesses. The strand of Jewish thought and practice began to emerge in the 10th century and became a full-fledged movement in the Jewish world of the 19th century in Lithuania. Until recently, Musar existed only in Orthodox communities, which explains why members of other denominations have been not as exposed to its teachings and its practices, although that is shifting. Although the focus of Musar is on personal spiritual development, it's not a selfish, self-indulgent, self-interested activity. Musar teachers insist that we are assigned our spiritual curriculum in life, addressing those inner traits, they're called midot, that need balancing so we can struggle to become more whole, but not just for our own sake. If we are habitually impatient, then developing patience will not only improve your own life, it is your assignment to make the world a more patient place. If you are more often stingy than generous, then generosity is your assignment on behalf of your soul and the world, and so on through the full range of traits. There is one area in particular in Musar that piqued my attention and which I hope will pique yours as well, called Noseh Ba'ol Im Chavero, translated as to share the burden with one's friend. Noseh is based on the Hebrew word nin, sin, aleph, that means to lift up or to carry. The word ol means yoke or burden, im means with, and chavero means one's friend. In A Responsible Life, Rabbi Ira Stone explains both the Musar tradition and the teachings of the French Jewish philosopher Levinas, pointing out how much of our sense of self is shaped by what we do and what we leave undone for those around us. Introspection is important and an important tool for understanding ourselves, yet it is indeed in response that our essential selves are both shaped and shown. When you think of yourself, what you think of yourself is less revealing than how you treat me. I'm going to repeat that. What you think of yourself is less revealing than how you treat me. As Levinas was fond of saying, the common phrase, after you, is the essential principle of an ethical life. Rabbi David Wolpe, some of you have had the opportunity to study with him and study his teachings, writes and asks, why are the great figures in Jewish tradition shepherds? Because caretaking, compassion, and ethical awareness are the components of a good life. This simple truth is obscured by overemphasis on self-assertion, self-esteem, and individual achievement. If we don't train ourselves and our children to bear the burden with the other, we will end up in social and moral collapse. The core teachings of the Musar tradition are not only beautiful and just, they are also essential for us to survive. So how do we share the burden with a friend? We turn to another and ask, what do you need? How can I help you bear your burden? Musar teaches us that no one merits acquiring Torah who does not hear and respond to that cry. Marinus recounts that in the Torah, Joseph asks a simple human question that turns out to be the starting point for the entire redemption from Egypt. When he was in jail and one day saw the faces of his fellow prisoners, the butler and the baker, he asked them, "Why are you looking so sad today?" And that one question set in motion the chain of events that resulted in Joseph being freed from jail, introduced to the Pharaoh, and ultimately appointed as the chief minister who saves Egypt and the Jewish people from famine. And it all started with being concerned with another's feelings. When God told Moses to free the people from Egypt, Moses asked, "Whom should I tell them sent me?" And God responded, "Ehyeh asher ehyeh, I will be who I will be." The Talmud explains this to mean, I am with them in their present suffering, and I will be with them when they suffer under the dominion of other nations. Here is the model we are to follow in interpersonal relations. Pain and suffering, we know, cause people to feel isolated and alone. Bearing the burden calls on us to penetrate another person's fortress with the aim of relieving that person's pain by joining ourselves to his or her suffering. And we are meant to pay careful attention to the wording of the teaching which says, bearing the burden with, not for. We do not acquire Torah and so develop ourselves spiritually through enabling behavior or creating codependency in another person. Each of us must ultimately carry our own yoke, but how good and how satisfying and how human it is to have someone who lends a shoulder to help carry the load. Many of us work hard to set important boundaries. Sometimes we get it right, while other times we do not. And this practice of engaging with one another, noseh ba'ol im chaveiro, always but especially now when tensions are running so incredibly high and many of us are experiencing a new kind of worry and pain, reminds us to reach out. Not only to be concerned with setting proper boundaries, but to actively move to be alongside another, whether we agree or disagree, understand their pain or not. And finally, Franz Zimmerman quotes a Musar teaching, teaches us that in this way we can truly be compassionate and not only feel with another person, but also try to see things from another's perspective. In this way, in these ways, we can truly live a life of holiness, that which our rabbis, that which the priests were pointing to in Parshat Emor. So this Shabbat, let us cultivate the midah, the soul trait of noseh ba'ol im chaveiro, and let us learn better how to share the burden with our friends. Let us continue as we turn to our concluding prayers, the Aleinu on page 586, and we again invite you, please, in body or in spirit, to rise.
Erev Shabbat, Adon Hakol, Lategre Lariam Zebreshit, Elot Sanike Oratzot, Velot Saman Krishtot Madama, Shevot Samekin Kahem, Vegoram Elogion Homonam, Vanam Yumorim, Umishavim Umadim, Shlifim Melech Malech HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, V'ne'emar v'chayei Adonai, Lemelech ha'aretz, Vayom ha'hu v'yomo, Yeh Adonai echad, U'shemo echad.
pages 598 and 599, as we pause to think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. During this period of Shloshim, these last 30 days, we are mourning the loss of those in Israel: Ben Avishai, Yitzchak Gela Renter, Amit Buskila, Shani Luke, Ron Yavitz, Betzalel David Shashua, Ilan Cohen, Daniel Chemu, Gilad Aryeh Boam, Roy Beit Yaakov, Liron Yitzchak, Elad Fingerhut, Ira Yair Gispan, and Ariel Tzim. To all those whose lives have been lost in the war with Hamas, innocent civilian Israelis and Palestinian, we grieve those losses. And this Shabbat marks a yahrzeit, an anniversary of passing for Abraham D. Abrams, Horace Becker, Jenny Burson, Neil Bogardus, Betty Brown, Stephanie Buran, Carl Karp, Patrick Dougherty Jr., Stephen Ellman, Bessie Fenster, Bernice Raum, Ruth Gould, Bernard Golub, Florence Hellman, Max Kahn, Ethel Katz, Samuel Leonard, Rosemary Molzer, Sophie Muffs, Warren Prolitz Sr., Sharon Rosa, Zloto Reuser, Jeffrey Rubel, David Schneider, Robert Shemaskin, Elsie Schrager, Marjorie Shire, Helen Smetna, Bessie Snyder, Stan Till, William Waddell Sr., Michael Weiner, and Nathan Weinstein. If there are other names that you would add to either list, or names better spoken aloud by you, please would you share that or those names aloud? And from home? We say, Zichronam livracha, may each of their memories be for a blessing as we join together in the words of the Mourner's Kaddish. Yit gadol v'yit kadash shmei rabbah, be'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayei uvyomei uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach le'olam olmei olmaya. Yit barach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yit hadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudusha b'rihu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru, amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all who mourn, to all Israel, as we join together in saying, Amen. And kindly be seated. Some brief announcements before we conclude this evening. We want to share early best wishes with Braden and Alana's family and extended family and guests in advance of tomorrow morning services at 10:30, preceded by Torah study at 9:15. And we are almost on track, actually, with the Parshat HaShavua, and which is remarkable, right? That we are almost on track with where we are in our regular Torah reading cycle. 9:15 Torah study, 10:30 services tomorrow morning, and the B'nai Mitzvah of Braden Warner and Alana Marks. Don't miss out on Mitzvah Day on Sunday, May 19th, beginning 9:30, not just for our religious school students, but for all who are looking to lend a hand and open their hearts even more. There is tremendous need, and we hope that you will join us then as well. And then next week, we have Erev Shabbat services at 6 p.m., Torah study again at 9:15, and services at 10:30. We want to thank Carla Greenfield, give a wave, our board greeter this evening. If you are joining us newly and have any questions, please be sure to ask the hardest ones to Carla. She will undoubtedly give you the finest answer. There is a Bring Them Home Solidarity Family Walk that is scheduled for Sunday, June 2nd in the morning. The event will coincide with the New York City annual Israel Day Parade and other Bring Them Home pro-Israel events scheduled that day around the world, and there will be more information that will be shared next week. Please keep your eye out for that. Our 7th annual community golf tournament to benefit Temple Sinai, Temple Beth David, Temple Brit Kodesh, and Temple Bethel happens on Monday, July 29th. I am told mini golf is not included, but does not preclude you from trying and signing up. So it is, I think, grown-up golf, but please do what you can to be with us on July 29th at 8:30 at the Wildwood Country Club in Rush. To register for golf or to be a sponsor, please visit the Temple website. Many of you know our security guard this evening. We have Gary, but many of you know Laszlo, who was with us for so many months. His son, Austin, is in desperate need of a kidney transplant, and to offset the expense of his treatment, they've set up a GoFundMe page, and the temple has more information about that. You can look on our Facebook page or also contact Angie in the office. Anything that you can help, anything that you can lend to help the family would be deeply, deeply appreciated. And I think unless there is anything else that I have missed, does anybody have any announcements that we should know from where you sit? Any celebrations that we should know about? Any, as I say, any joys or oys that we should know? Yes, Shoshana.
My friend's getting married.
Excellent, excellent, good, lovely. Okay, then let us continue. As we turn to Motzi, we will invite both both bar and bat mitzvah families up onto the bima to do Motzi with us. Come on up, parents and students, come on up. Mandy and Paul and BJ and Pamela. Let's give thanks for that which nourishes and sustains us.
We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise and song together as our prayer is humbly said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Everyone, small pieces.
While they are slicing bread, we want to thank all of those who helped us break bread earlier this evening. No shortage of people to thank who put together an extraordinary evening for an extraordinarily large group of diners this evening. We thank each and every person who was a part of Schmoozing Shabbat this evening and setting it in motion and providing it and making everybody feel so very warmly welcomed. And we hope that you'll join us after services in the social hall for our own egg, and join us in our closing song, Ani Ve'ata, on page 652.
Ani ve'ata, you and I can change the world. We can change the world before it doesn't matter. It's gonna be difficult, but it doesn't matter. Please join me. Ani ve'ata neshane et ha'olam. Ani ve'ata ziyavo u'kvar kulam. Amru et ze kodem lefanai, ze lo meshane. Ani ve'ata neshane
together, I do believe that we actually can change the world. We wish you a Shabbat Shalom, good health, and good spirits. Shabbat Shalom.